Well, the atmosphere this morning at the Code of Conduct Tribunal is serene. Lots of lawyers, lots of journalists, lots of policemen are already coming in. And the entire place is watertight. The security here is much more better than it has been in the past two occasions where this sitting started on Friday. And so we're expecting that the tribunal will begin its sitting at 10 a.m. Don't forget that Senate President Bukola Saraki has indicated his interest to be at this tribunal. So he's expected to be here between 9 and 10 to be seated before the two judges of the tribunal come into the court.
Can you tell us what played out yesterday eventually? I mean, maybe things we didn't catch, aside the things we already know. The fact that the appeal court, of course, threw out his appeal and said, go answer to the charges at the CCT. Can you just give us a brief on what things transpired yesterday that behind the scenes that we don't know about?
Well, unlike yesterday, that was a cold morning full of so many activities. Today, it's a very warm weather here in the nation's capital, Abuja, and it looks like things are gradually getting to pick up as a result of the developments yesterday. Now, the issues surrounding the three court cases yesterday is that for the very first one, that's the Code of Conduct Tribunal, where we are right now, there was another bench warrant of arrest issued against Senator Bukola Saraki. The judge, Justice Danladi Umar, issued another bench warrant of arrest for the Senate President Bukola Saraki to be produced before him by the Inspector General of Police. And the second court where there was an action was the Court of Appeal, where the Senate President had gone to seek for an interim injunction to restrain the court from carrying out the arrest warrant that was granted by the judge of the Code of Conduct Tribunal on Friday. And of course, he lost out at the Court of Appeal because the Court of Appeal says appearing at the Code of Conduct Tribunal is not a death sentence, so the Senate President should make himself available, despite the fact that there were 12 points that the counsel of the Senate President raised before the Court of Appeal. And the last court is the Federal High Court, where Senator Saraki had filed for an interim injunction to be granted to him by Justice Ahmed Ramat Mohammed. And Justice Ahmed Ramat Mohammed had on Thursday, last week Thursday, said he had received an application before him, and so he ordered that the Code of Conduct Bureau, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, and MS Hassan, the officer in the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation that filed the case, should all appear before him to give reason why he should not grant reasons, or he should grant an injunction against the Code of Conduct Tribunal from going ahead with the trial. So Senator Bukola Saraki lost out yesterday at that High Court because the judge, Justice Mohammed, actually said that he cannot grant an interim injunction. Instead, he fixed another date when the real case will be heard as to whether or not the Code of Conduct Tribunal has the powers to go ahead with this trial. So yesterday was a full day, and don't forget, Senator Saraki himself was not in court. But as a result of all these developments, he eventually agreed to appear in court because he addressed Senate correspondents later at about 4 p.m. Nigerian time, where he agreed that he will appear, having exhausted all legal technicalities and all legal loopholes that he could hang on to.
I'm going to get back to you, Samna Sambo. Don't go away yet. I have a guest in the studio with me, the National Coordinator of the Change Agents of Nigeria Network, CAN for short, the person of Rotarian Olukayode Ezekiel Salako. Glad to have you join us. And
good morning.
Backstage, we were talking, and I said, what do you make of all this, your contribution to what is playing out around the third man of the nation, the Senate President, in the pressing of Dr. Bukola Saraki?
Yes, thank you. I am going to be very, very realistic. The change we worked, toyed, and voted for is not what Saraki has been manifesting since he became, or let me say, since this government came to power. He has been a kind of an albatross, you know. He has been carrying out his activities as if he is an alternative president, you know, running a parallel government. Let me leave that. I am going to respond like this. What manner of a Senate president is this? That the commander-in-chief does not want to see. What manner of a Senate president is this? That is fighting against his own, standing against the way, the smooth flow, you know, of the government, the change agenda. The APC, as a political party, has promised Nigerians. And the kind of government Nigerians have chosen for themselves around this time is a government that has to do with that popular mantra, popularly acceptable or accepted mantra of integrity. I think the case he has now with the Code of Conduct Bureau is going to be bringing him out on a test case. It's a test case.
For this government?
For this government.
I'm going to ask you to hold it there.
Yeah,
we're going to continue right from is a test case for this government because tongues are wagging,
of course,
you know, about this. Samna, let me get back to you. What feelers, if any, have you been guessing from citizens, Nigerians, there, both on the side of the Senate President, because you say his supporters are there to give him a backup, a support, and then Nigerians around? I'm sure you must have interacted. So what is their body language? What are they saying? What are their feelings?
Well, there are mixed feelings here because Nigerians, of course, are in support of the fight against corruption by President Muhammadu Buhari. Don't forget, the three cardinal points of President Muhammadu Buhari's campaign promises are security, economy, and corruption. And so they are fully backing his fight against corruption, but the feelings here have always been that whatsoever is being done should be done in accordance with the statute books. That is the law, the constitution. And so most of the citizens are here, of course, like I told you earlier on, are from Kwara State. They are here to give majority of their support to the Senate President. They want to ensure that the Code of Conduct Bureau and Code of Conduct Tribunal Act are followed just the way it is written and that there is no room for political witch hunt. But they've been expressing fears also that with the way things have been going on, that it looks like some political forces in the party of the Senate President, as the All Progressives Congress, are set to bring him down. Of course, they also know that the Senate President defied the resolution of the party that, you know, there should be a mock primary where a candidate for the Senate presidency will be chosen, and eventually when all senators get to the floor of the Senate for the election of the Senate president, that single candidate will be presented. They said, yes, the Senate president played the politics of that era, and the politics of that era is over. So it's now time for governance. And since Senator Saraki is still in his party, the All Progressives Congress, he has not defected, that the members of his party should not be witch hunting him. Okay, there are some allegations also that I put across to a few of them that, okay, How about the fact that the party wrote to the Senate president and requested that the majority leader and other principal officers of the party from the APC should be reflected as written to it by the leadership of the APC. They said, well, the thing is that it's not as if the party has a total control of how the composition of the leadership of the Senate presidency should be like. The thing is that whatever they did was mere advisory, because the Senate president is also not in control of all the forces. Why? Because there are 49 PDP lawmakers in the Senate and about 58 APC lawmakers. And this is different from what we used to have in the past, where the PDP dominated the entire house, and as a result of that, they could just just decide who and who to take principal positions. So that they also have to understand with him. But also, there are lots of Nigerians who are saying that the Senate president should face the corruption charges as they are, rather than looking for persons to hold responsible for his plight. That the facts in this case are that, number one, did he underdeclare his assets or no? Number two, if he did or he didn't, why is he running away from these cases that have been filed before the Code of Conduct Tribunal? And number three, why is he resorting to other courts to stop another court from playing its official function? And number four, why is he staying away if he seems not to be guilty? Because it's only the guilty that are afraid. But from the feelers that we got yesterday that the Senate president is willing to come today, according to his statement, they have also said that it's something that should have been done on Friday, that if he had appeared here on Friday, there wouldn't have been all this media buzz that's been created. So it's an interesting scenario that we are hoping to see, and our viewers at TVC News will be hoping to get nothing short of the best from us, because we are ready to give much more than is available here as we continue with our dedicated coverage of the trial of the Senate president.